Hello everybody and welcome to today's Fact Friday video. Today I'm going to be chatting with Jill Caskey from the Integrated Education Fund. Usually I am out and about on the road sharing facts about integrated education with people in shopping centres and at festivals and at events. But with the current climate we can't do that. So today I thought I would put some of those questions to Jill. Jill, are you ready?
I hope so.
So Jill, our first question is, it's 2020. We're now roughly 23 years after the Good Friday Agreement. Are you still seriously telling me that throughout Northern Ireland, schools are still dividing children among Catholic and Protestant lines?
Well, Andrew, good question to start off with. I think in 2020, integrated education is more important than ever. 7% of children attend integrated schools currently, and whilst there is a degree of mixing in some other schools, what we tend to find is that largely pupils attend a school that is majority Protestant or majority Catholic. So as you know, the goal of integrated education is to intentionally welcome pupils from Catholic, Protestant backgrounds, all faiths and none, and educate them in the same classroom side by side every day.
Okay, so throughout Northern Ireland, there's 25 schools that have already transformed. There's another 8 that are in the process of doing that. We would hear a lot that actually a lot of those schools are perceived Protestant schools. Are there any of the Catholic maintained sector that have actually taken this step, the transformation?
Yeah, Andrew, yeah, there are indeed. So you mentioned the 8 schools that have recently held parental ballots to become integrated schools, and 3 out of those 8 schools were actually Catholic schools. So I think there was maybe there wasn't the awareness that Catholic schools could actually become integrated schools, but we've seen a real increase in demand for more schools to explore this that are traditionally perceived as more Catholic. And I think that more and more parents across Northern Ireland want to find out more about integration and how it might work for their school.
Okay, so a Catholic school can transform then, there's nothing stopping them.
Yeah, Catholic school can transform, nursery schools, primary, post-primary, and the legislation currently doesn't support special schools and hospital schools to transform, but all other school types currently can become integrated schools and be legally recognised as so.
Okay, yeah, okay, that's great. So in Northern Ireland, we love our contentious issues. We will, some people say we will try and make anything we can contentious. But in schools, then I'm sure if they're bringing together children, young people from Catholics, Protestant sides, and other, there's bound to be lots of contentious issues. Sport seems to be the biggest one. So what do schools do around that? Do they just abandon those contentious sports, or is there a way that they address that?
No, Andrew, I think integrated schools in particular, particularly schools, so there's 2 ways in which schools can become integrated. A new school can be established by a group of parents, or an existing school can go through a legal process called transformation to become an integrated school. So a newly established school may very much set out to ensure that all sports, all religions, all backgrounds are covered for, right, from languages to just exploring all parts of culture from day one. And transformation school may consider, okay, what does their school not currently offer for all parts of the community, and they may choose to work with their school community, with their parents, their pupils, the local area, to see, okay, well, what actually could the school deliver and how could they broaden the educational experiences that the young people receive there. So, for example, some schools may offer additional languages, they may offer additional sports, they may access coaching in different, whether it's GAA or different sports that they maybe didn't play before. And they may offer those as an after school activity, or they may become part of the core curriculum. It's very much based on what the school and the school community think is important for their school moving forward. So each year, I think a school will kind of develop what the current offer is for the pupils who attend based on the demand that they experience.
So they wouldn't shy away from doing a particular sport to avoid the contention. They would try and embrace it.
No, absolutely not. No, I think they won't, they won't shy away, but they also will work with what the local community want as well. So if there is no demand for a certain activity or sport or language at that time, then they mightn't necessarily, introduce it when they're first considering transformation, but maybe further down the line, as things progress, the school would actually think that that's something that they might prioritize at that stage. That's the transformation journey that a school goes on is very much based on what the school community would like to see at that time. So it's a plan. It's a schools would work through that year by year and develop to become offer as many opportunities as possible.
So okay, that's great on the sports field. That can be done quite easily. But what about in the classroom? Because obviously, history and RE would be another of the two biggest contentious issues. Surely in the classroom you can't just opt in and out of different subjects, or is that the point where the school day becomes divided and you've Catholic RE and Protestant RE, or how does the school address that?
Okay, so each school will look at things slightly differently, but we have a core curriculum for all schools designed by SIA. So every single school in Northern Ireland follows the same core curriculum. But an integrated school would try and reflect that curriculum as broadly and as balanced as possible. So you may see, as you've mentioned, some changes to the RE in terms of different types of assemblies and linking in with different churches that they mightn't have necessarily had those links before with, whether it's historical, it's about addressing particularly what's happening at the time. So for example, if there's a key contentious issue that's happening on the doorstep or in the kind of wider world network, it's something that an integrated school would take the opportunity to explore, to talk about the views and the opinions of peoples, and ensure that instead of leaving views and values at the door, it's something that's discussed openly and with friends and with the kind of whole classroom setting.
Okay, so very much making sure then that the diverse demographic of the school then is represented in its teaching.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's not just through the pupils, but it's also through the staff and the governance of the school as well. So it's very intentional. Integrated education is planned for, it is part of the school's policy, it's part of the ethos, it's the way that they deliberately ensure that views are respected and valued within a school setting.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier there's 8 schools there that have balloted to transform. How does that work? How do schools go about that?
Okay, so there's a couple of different ways. Schools can get in touch with a range of different organisations. So, for example, they can get in touch with us at the IEF or with our colleagues at NICE. And some schools would contact the Education Authority as well. Just to find out more about the process, we would regularly organise events and presentations to Board of Governors and principals so that they could find out more about the process and how it might work for their school. But parents also have an important part of this journey. So, for example, parents could maybe start the process by asking their principal or somebody at school, is this something we've ever considered? We also have our Integrate My School website, Andrew, where parents can register that they would like their child's school to become integrated. So, for example, that's supported in legislation that if 20% of parents sign up for their child's school, then the school legally has to explore that. So that's something that's useful for parents to know too, that they can initiate the process. So there's a range of different ways in which that this could start for your individual school or for your local community as well.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier hospital schools and special schools can't transform.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other restrictions, like, for example, small schools? Is it more small schools that would transform to try and save themselves, or what about that?
No, Andrew, there's a range of different schools that explore transformation. So a lot of schools see it as an opportunity to recognise what is already happening in their school. So they might have a diverse range of pupils, they might have a diverse governance structure, they may have staff that come from different religious backgrounds, and they may feel like their ethos fits perfectly within the ethos of integrated education. So some schools decide to explore this and they're completely oversubscribed. Other schools recognise that becoming an integrated school may open up their school to the whole community. So people may have perceived that their school wasn't for them prior to them exploring transformation. So there's a whole range of different reasons that some schools have had a strong shared education partnership and would like to explore this together as well. So the reasons are very varied. So when parents come forward or when schools come forward, they come to us because they want to find out more about integrated education, because they see it as a way forward for their pupils and for their school and their local community.
Okay, so schools are absolutely doing it with pupils at the centre and their educational value.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about. When you think about what you want for the future of your children, most people want to see their children educated together.
Okay, and so finally, because we need to close here, but if there was a school watching this that was considering this and thinking about what to do, what would you say to them? Surely, really, it's all about the extra money they get, or is that a myth as well?
Okay, so for example, each school receives the same core funding for the number of pupils that they have. So there's no more funding available through that. But if a school is integrated or exploring transformation, there are grants available through the Department of Education and the Integrated Education Fund to help that school explore. So whether that's engaging with parents or considering their marketing or their signage or anything else that might be relevant to the transformation process, and letting everybody know that they're going through the process to become integrated.
Okay, that's great. So I think we've dispelled a few myths there this afternoon. So all schools tend to get the same block grant from the government. Communities will do what's best for their child's community, and kids aren't going to be forced into different sports or different areas of the curriculum they maybe wouldn't want to do. But, Jill, maybe we could do this again if people had questions. I'm sure you wouldn't mind if they sent them in.
No, absolutely. We're happy to answer any questions. I think that's what's really important. For a lot of schools who explore this initially, it's about answering those questions and thinking about what this looks like for them. What questions do the pupils have? What questions do the parents have? What questions do the local community have too? So all of those are really important to consider when a school is thinking about becoming integrated. So I'm happy to answer them as best I can.
So if you've got questions, if you want to send them in through our Facebook or social media channels, or email them to info@integratemyschool.com. But Jill, just before we go, remind us once more, if there's parents out there that are interested, how do they sign up?
Yeah, so you can visit our website, integratemyschool.com, and that will give you lots more information. There's frequently asked questions on there as well, and there's a chance for you to search and sign up your child's school if you would like to see your child's school become an integrated school in the future as well.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thanks very much.
Thank you.